Hey guys, Chicky Maine, aka Deboo, Deboo.com with the Deboo.com Storm Forecast Update. This forecast update effective around 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, December 20th, 2014. And guys, looks like solid bump coming for West Florida. They haven't had any surf in quite some time. We very rarely get a chance to mention them. Maybe a quick little shot for certain locations of Panhandle beaches and a major swell event setting up in the North Atlantic. Unclear at the moment how much, if any, may make it over to the East Coast of the United States, but Puerto Rico and island nations looking really sweet at the moment in the latest forecast. We'll show you that here in just a few moments. Start you off here off the West Coast of the United States as high pressure has developed in the East Pacific, and this is injecting some Pacific moisture into the West Coast of the United States, giving California and the West Coast some much needed rain. Over the last 2 weeks, they've been trying to catch up on that drought with that rainfall. It looks like after this event right here, they'll get a chance to dry out. Looking at the water vapor imagery down here at the intertropical convergence zone, you can see that a southwest to northeast flow out of the ITCZ has set up over Mexico and into the Gulf of Mexico. This is also giving a second source of tropical moisture feeding in towards the United States, and the combination of these two factors and a low pressure developing could lead to some heavy rainfalls in the southeast U.S. coming up for the Christmas holiday and help to develop that Santa bomb that everybody's talking about over southeast Canada. You can see here in this GOES imagery, here's the backside or the barn door of what we like to call this area of low pressure. All of this is moving off from the west to the east, and it's behind this right here that the winds will switch out of the west-northwest into the Gulf of Mexico coming up in the next 72 hours or so. Gale conditions are possible. West-northwest winds 35 to 40 knots with seas increasing 12 to possibly 15 feet in a west-northwest swell. We'll show you that here in just a few moments as well. We'll put it into motion for you. Again, you can see that here in the satellite imagery, the moisture being injected down here towards Baja and Mexico, along with this southwest to northeast flow coming out of the intertropical convergence zone into the Gulf of Mexico. Here is that corner right here, and as this corner starts to move off towards the east, it's behind that corner that the winds are going to switch. Switch you over to last night's run of the Euro model and talk about the possible major swell event that's setting up out here in the Atlantic. We've got a gale, an area of low pressure in here that's well to the northeast of Puerto Rico now. This was down here a little further south a couple of days ago. If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, you know we posted a couple of images showing you that this was a similar setup to what gave us that major swell event back on December 10th. It all started off with a gale that was just northeast of Puerto Rico, right in here, and that gale lifted off towards the north and northeast, and as it started to pull away, it gave a strong northeast fetch in here that aimed all of that fetch at the east coast of the United States, and then another area of low pressure developed off the southeast states and enhanced that northeast ground swell that gale had produced. So here we are in a similar setup. However, this gale is further off towards the east than in that previous setup that gave us that major swell event. Walk you through the model now. You can see that gale is moving off towards the north and northeast and is going to go ahead of that other area of low pressure that's set up off Nova Scotia. Now look right here. Here's high pressure building off Nova Scotia in here, and there's a strong northeast fetch beginning to develop aimed at Puerto Rico and the islands. A small area of low pressure moving it to the outer banks, and this is going to get absorbed into this other area of low pressure that's near the Great Lakes and help create the Christmas storm here over southeast Canada. Look what happens here on Thursday. This is the setup for Christmas Day, and the reason why we say it's going to be unclear at the moment how much, if any, swell may make it to the east coast of the United States. This is strong west-northwest winds coming here off Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, and then switching to a southwest and south flow up in here towards the northeast states. But here is this big area of low pressure that's developing here in the north-central Atlantic. That is 40 to 50 knot northeast winds aimed at Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands on Christmas Day. And then you take it past Christmas Day, and it still shows that northeast fetch. And then now it starts to expand. That strong northerly winds right here on Saturday, December 27th, aimed at Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. That's a nice fetch of winds of probably about 1,000 miles of northerly winds. So that looks like it's going to end up enhancing that, because right in here you can see, and this is the shot, this is the image that may give the east coast of the United States a shot at some northeast groundswell right here, because the winds are going to go light. This is Sunday, December 28th. Winds are going to go light in here and allow maybe some of that northeast groundswell to penetrate in here towards the Outer Banks and down here towards southeast states. Looking at the latest windalert.com forecast model. This is what we like to do after we look at the Euro model. We like to switch over and look to see what the wind alert model is showing. This is that bump coming for West Florida coast. Starts you off on Monday, and as we progress, there's a little southerly suck up ahead of that area of low pressure coming, and that's why we're saying there might be a slight little bump coming for Panhandle beaches. But then look what happens here. Again, south-southeast winds increasing. A little small patch of 20 knots right in here, which could lead to that small bump coming for Panhandle beaches. It'll come and go very quickly, so you'll have to keep an eye on it if you surfers in the Panhandle beaches want to get wet for Christmas. But here comes that switch to the north-northwest, and look at these winds in here setting up for the Gulf of Mexico. West-northwest winds, 30 to 40 knots, gale possible. So here comes your bump, Southwest Florida, for Christmas. Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you guys get it. Switch you out here to the Atlantic now, and back on that idea of major swell event coming in the North Atlantic aimed at Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Start you off on Saturday, December 20th, and progress through the model. If it'll catch up here, give me a second. And you can see that that's that gale moving off towards the north-northeast. And here comes that strong northeast fetch setting up, coming up on Sunday right before Christmas. And look how this starts to develop in here now. Northeast winds, 20 to 30 knots, maybe 40 in this area of low pressure that's starting to develop. And look what happens here. It just expands and starts to explode. This wraparound right in here is going to be aimed at the Cape Verde Islands. So Jesper Mortensen at Surf Camp Nagore, you guys get ready. Looks like a solid swell, north-northwest swell coming for you, along with a strong northeast groundswell coming for Puerto Rico and island nations. Guys, that's all we got for you for now. Stay tuned for the next update.